Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Dulwich in South London to Crystal Palace. This ride takes just 15 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes more like half an hour, so cycling is a brilliant way to make this trip. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute too, then you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting by Dulwich Library on Lordship Lane, and we're going to turn around and we're going to head straight down Inella Road. This street is pretty quiet thanks to a closure further down on Court Lane, which was introduced in 2020 and which limits through traffic in the area. Inella Road also heads straight into Dulwich Park, which we're going to go straight through. The park is entirely traffic free, but do remember that the paths here are shared with pedestrians, so even though they're pretty wide, make sure you travel at a moderate speed and watch out for other people using the park. Dulwich Park does close at night, so if you need to do this route after dark, you could bypass it by using Court Lane, Dulwich Village and College Road, and then you can pick up this video again at College Road, which we'll get to in a bit. At the western end of Dulwich Park, you can find a bicycle hire business which rents out tandems, recumbent bikes and tricycles by the hour. So if you've ever wanted to try one of these more unusual cycling contraptions, you can head down here. Recumbents and trikes, if you're not familiar, are often used as mobility aids by people who have trouble riding a standard bicycle. So if they're ever something you've wanted to try out, then this might be a good place to do it in a traffic-free environment. We're exiting the park at the southern gate here and going straight onto Dulwich Common, a road which, believe it or not, is actually part of the South Circular, Inner London's Ring Road. As you can see from the blue shared space sign we just passed and the green bike light on this crossing, you are allowed to ride on the pavement here. This isn't a great experience, and this short section is probably the least good part of this whole video, but it is at least separated from motor traffic. One thing to be aware of is during school leaving time, there may be lots of pupils walking on the pavements here, as there are lots of schools in Dulwich, so take that into account when you ride here and just be responsible. When you come to this junction, you'll need to wait for a gap in the traffic, as there's for some reason no light, which is a bit weird for a junction right outside a massive school. That red Victorian building on our right is Dulwich College, a prestigious boarding school dating back to 1617, and there are a number of other schools in the area as well. On this street there is a much better shared path than the pavement we were on before though, and it's separated from traffic by a big grass verge and has a good surface, but again, do be careful, especially during school arrival and dropout times. A lot of the streets in this area are run by the Dulwich Estate, a charity which owns most of the land around here. That actually includes a section of College Road which actually has London's last remaining toll gate on it, and in practice that keeps traffic levels on there lower than they would otherwise be. I'm not really a fan of private management of streets in general, and it can often produce some quite bad results, but actually the Dulwich Estate does seem to manage its streets in a reasonably progressive way. That's most evident on here, Hunt's Slip Road, which is a Dulwich Estate road, where they've recently built these protected cycle lanes in both directions. These are good. On this side the cycle lane is at pavement level, and in the opposite direction it's on the carriageway and separated by protective wands. It is possible to nitpick the design, but they're probably the best cycle lanes I've seen from a private landowner anywhere. The wands on the pavement side here do seem like overkill, but actually when you remember there are several large schools along this street, I suspect they're probably there to physically stop parents parking up with their cars on the pavement and blocking the cycle lane. Allain Park, which we're on now, is a bit different. The estate also runs it, and it has two big schools on it you can see on our left there. It's reasonably quiet at most times of day, but I understand that at school pick-up and drop-off times it often isn't. This would really be the perfect place for a school street, which are really common across London now. And aside from solving the issues on the street itself, private school traffic is a really big issue in this area generally. Those schools tend to have much higher rates of driving due to demographics and also having wider catchment areas, so there will be big wider benefits too to encouraging more sustainable school travel here. This roundabout here has a nice cycle lane bypass that takes you over the street towards Dulwich Avenue. These zebra crossings should really be parallel crossings for bikes, but I think the intention is that you cycle over them, given that there's a cycle path leading to them and shared space signs as well. Now, Dulwich Avenue is very quiet, but most notable for being a very long and very steep hill. I hate hills, and I managed to get up it just about, but I would say that if you're thinking of doing this route regularly, you're probably going to want an e-bike. Spoilers, there is also another hill after this hill. Unfortunately, Crystal Palace is just on a big hill, and it's our destination today, so there isn't really a way around that. I would particularly suggest using an e-bike if you're thinking of carrying a child on the back of your bike. I don't think I will be able to manage this hill with my son riding shotgun. You can see the Crystal Palace TV mast looming on the left there, which is a sign that we're close. This is the main TV transmitter for Greater London and the UK TV transmitter that covers the most population. It was actually the tallest structure in the whole city until 1990, when Canary Wharf's One Canada Square was topped out. And it's now only the 8th tallest structure, which I guess is an indicator of how many tall buildings have gone up in London in the last few decades. That's certainly something to think about while you bust a gut up that hill. Now, I did promise another hill, and there's one here. Fortunately, this one does mostly have a protected cycle lane in the uphill direction, which means you can take your time a little bit. While it would be nice to have one in the downhill direction too, in practice you are going to be getting enough speed downhill that it's the uphill where it really matters. What should be improved though is removing these parking spaces in line with the lane. It's not fun having to swing out from behind these parked cars on a hill with traffic potentially behind you. This area doesn't seem to have a controlled parking zone, and Southwark Council is planning to put them across its whole borough. So when it comes to doing that area, I would suggest double yellow lining that bit and ideally extending the cycle lane through where the spaces were too. Fortunately, the gap in the lane is quite small, and we just go over the bridge to get into the centre of Crystal Palace. The park is right up ahead. So we've made it, and I think it's fair to say that that route is the best way to cycle to Crystal Palace, but there are still obvious issues with it that could be improved. There are also issues with it that you can't improve, like the big hill that you have to ride up, but that is just Crystal Palace. I'll say again, if I lived or worked around here, I would go out and buy an e-bike tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that route comes in useful. Do let me know in the comments what you think, and if you can think of any better ways to do it. There is a map of the route downloadable in the description below the video, and you can also find a link to the Patreon if you're feeling generous and want to support the channel. Thanks very much to those of you who do that already. And yeah, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe so that you are alerted to new videos, and please do leave a like if you enjoyed the video and want other people to find it. I will see some of you below the line. The rest of you I will see in the video next week. Goodbye.